Okay, so Kristian, him from Denmark, wants to talk about his 15-year-old son and that he is considering converting to Islam. So, bear with me a second. Kristian, welcome to Talk Heathen. What's on your mind, man?
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's Kristian from Denmark. And my son actually has converted. He just told us the other day. And of course, that myself being an atheist and my wife being what I would call a cultural Christian at best, it took us a little bit by surprise, even though we weren't completely unknowing. He had shown some signs, and I had wanted to have a talk with him, but never got around to it. In my professional life, I'm a sailor, so I'm out for 4 weeks at a time. Yeah. And I just left the other day when my wife called me up and said that he had then informed her that he had actually joined Islam or converted or whatever we call it.
And did he give any particular reasons?
A lot of questions. Excuse me.
Did he give any reasons why?
What he said, the thing is, he's baptized. Both of our kids are. That was my wife wanted it that way back 15, 17 years ago, and my son chose to go through this what's it called, confirmation, which the Danish state church has. They had both been given it as an option. We've been trying to let them decide for themselves. Of course, I'd been hoping that he wouldn't decide what he did, but he did. And back then, he also used the term, I believe that there is something controlling us or whatever. So I knew that he was drawn to it and tried to have some talks with him. When he started using some rhetoric that I didn't like, for example, talking about how you needed to read the scriptures with your heart, and I informed him that we used our brains and our eyes for reading and not the heart. But it was this sort of rhetoric that led me to think that he was perhaps going further than that.
So what is actually, Kristian, what is worrying you about it? I mean, obviously he's showing signs of maybe irrational thought and going with feelings rather than thoughts, but is there something specific that worries you?
Both my wife and I, yes, we are worried of losing him to a religious cult, and that he. Basically, I've also tried to ask him how he looks at me, because he knows that I'm a devout atheist. So and will he shun us, or I don't know if that's the correct term, but if he gets further into this, that's our main worry.
If I may, I'm sorry. Please keep on. I don't want to cut you off.
No, but of course, my wife and I we've had a lot of talks these last couple of days over the phone, and what I've sort of concluded is that if he can sort of have his religion on the side and have it not affect his life, because that's also what I'm afraid of, him now saying, for example, that the Quran has no errors in it, and that he's sort of being drawn away from this cliche of I'm afraid to say that we should get our answers from science rather than scripture, I suppose that's also something I'm very much afraid of, that he'll be drawn from that and the problems that could give him in life.
What are you thinking, Jason?
Okay, so I have a 12-year-old kid, and they're at this age, they tend to take more from their peer groups and their kind of surrounding environment than they do their parents. It's pretty natural, progression. So the question I have, and then maybe, so let me get these two out. So let me flush it out. So one of them is and bear with me, just give me a second. Do you know the people or the sources from which your kiddo is getting this information? And two, have you considered getting involved with them in this. What I'm saying is this. Let's say you find out that it's one of their buddies, and their buddy and them have been talking about this, and there's like a Discord message board and something like that, and then they're wanting to go to a mosque and doing this. I mean, I don't know. My kiddo was talking about stuff like Therianism, which we don't need to go into, and so I'm like, well, this is a thing now. So okay, cool. Let me see what you're doing. Let me kind of monitor the input that you're getting. I'm maybe not the biggest fan of this, but at the same time, this is a thing now. We're going to flesh it out and kind of run with it and see what it goes, as long as it doesn't cause harm. And I'm going to get involved personally, so it doesn't become like a weird kind of secret-y type thing. And it's good. Everything's good. I feel great about it. And, they're okay with me talking about this stuff. So I just want to be involved. But so what I'm thinking is, I don't want to give advice, but I'm just kind of thinking what I would do in this situation. If my kiddo came home and said, Dad, I'm interested in a religion thing, or I'm converting, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool. Well, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go see what these people are talking about. I want to meet the people you're hanging out with. And I'm just going to get overly involved. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, first of all, he says that he has converted. He has done the ceremony or whatever, the recitation of the verse. We think that it is actually two of his friends.
Okay.
One who is also a ethnical Dane who has converted, and one who's been brought up in Islam. I don't think for now that he's joined a mosque or is talking to an imam. But I mean, right now, I think there's just a sense of urgency, seeing as I'm out here, I'm in Mexico at the moment.
Yeah.
It's sort of hard to handle this for the next 4 weeks. So, but I see what you mean. Of course, I think these two kids are nice kids. I've met them occasionally. So, but I haven't really spoken with them. But I think they're nice kids. But I don't know how far he is, seeing as he has. Of course, also what comes to mind is the what we always hear in these shows and other things, that the penalty for leaving Islam. That's also what I'm thinking of. How far is he into this when he has recited this?
I don't want to downplay that at all. But while there are places in the world where that is an absolute threat, and there are people that in the ACA, like our good friend and host Armin Navabi, who would face an end to his life in certain places, that's, I doubt, going to be a problem in Denmark.
Yeah, sure,
yeah.
But if he becomes very attached to this circle and these people and these friends, but then finds later that he no longer believes and doesn't want to be in that faith anymore, he will potentially lose his social circle and his support structure. And that's where you step in. I mean, even if you're afraid of losing him, as long as you make sure that he's assured that whatever his choices are, you will still love him and will support him as best you can, even if you don't agree with him. Hopefully, and that knowledge will allow him to properly explore himself. And we do have to, it's the problem of tolerance. We have to allow people to make their own choices and their own mistakes sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
Which is hard as a parent. I can only think of my dear sainted mother and the time she bit her tongue to not tell me that I'm doing something stupid, knowing that I was going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
But being there to help me pick up the pieces afterwards.
And I could understand the urgency of being an atheist. That's why I said, maybe get involved, get to know those other kids' parents, contact them, figure out what's going on. And I mean, I can only think, I was very rebellious as a kid. I still am rebellious as hell, but as a kid, I was extremely rebellious. So if I'm looking at it, maybe from my point of view, if I've got two non-religious atheistic parents, my form of rebellion may be to become religious, right? So that might just be the natural progression of your kid differentiating themselves from you and from, his mom and those things and moving on. But I just can't emphasize enough how much I would get more involved than they would want me to in those situations. I would start going to the mosque with them. I would start, hey, I found some religious literature. Let's sit down and talk about God, Dad. You know,
nothing makes something as uncool as your parents.
Well, that's
get
what I'm
involved
saying.
With it.
Like, if you can ruin it for them by just being involved and being a considerate parent, you know, and just like learning, hey, I found out this stuff about Islam. I found this out. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Like, ruin their rebellion, maybe. I don't know, but I think, okay, so I was just talking earlier. One of my best friends is a Muslim. It's my boxing coach and my co-coach at the gym. My other sparring partner is an Orthodox Jew, and one of our buddies who has a fight coming up, a good friend of mine, is a devout Christian. We all just, you know, we talk about it, we enjoy, we have our gym, we fight, we beat each other up, and then we talk. You know, and there's no weirdness between us, right? Because we have an honest flow of communication, and we understand those things. So let's say your kiddo does become a Muslim but sticks with it. I mean, that's not the end. You can harass them in a loving way, the way a good parent does, and understand where they're coming from and get to know about what they're learning about. But I think even more important than all of that, you need to know who's fucking talking to them. That's number one, really, because if you don't know the shit that's getting pushed into their mind and who's doing it, there may be a parent. You know, there may be somebody grooming them, and that's something that's extremely important, at least as a parent talking to another parent. That would be my first priority. That's just me. I need to figure out who the hell's talking to my kid and what they're saying to them and how much control they have over them while I'm working. You know, that's important.
And I think, I mean,
that's
just
right.
I can just agree with Jason here. It's like, it's a win-win. Either you'll get involved and it will become uncool and he won't want to do it anymore, or you'll just learn more about him and become close that way. And that's just the way his life's going to go for a while. At least you'll be involved in it.
You got to see it. You got to see it through. You know, it's like I said with my kid. You know, they started wearing a mask and wanting to run around like a kitty cat and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, well, do you believe in like animal spirits? No. Well, what do you think about this? No. Okay. Well, who are these people you're talking to? Blah blah blah. Who are you learning? Okay, cool. So I'm like, well, okay, well, I guess I'm going to get a mask now and run around with you and learn about this. Oh, God, Dad.
That's an expensive hobby to get into, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because of all the and then we're doing it. I'm like, cool, we went out and bought some masks. We went out and bought some stuff. I'm going to see it through. We're just going to do this whole thing, you know, and it's just kind of tapered down a little bit, but, you know, they're still into it. But it's less like, this is this thing I have to do all the time. It's so important. You know, okay, I'm going to get involved. I'm going to figure out what you're watching on TikTok and figure out the media you're taking in. I'm going to figure out these adults you're kind of talking to and kind of go from there. And, you know, like Jamie was saying, nothing ruins something for a kid like their parents caring about it. So, you know.
So, I mean.
Are there any signs that we should be looking for, in particular regarding indoctrination or?
I think what you were saying, those buzzwords, those things like thinking with my heart, that's somebody feeding them some bullshit. Yeah. That's what that is. They're repeating somebody's words. Simple. They're modeling. That's what you're seeing. If it's kind of off base from what you're used to from the kiddo, and then they suddenly, you know, kind of do that little switch and they're saying things that they normally wouldn't say that are also kind of in direct opposition of maybe what you teach as a family, that's something to look for, because that's not something that they're finding themselves within that book. They're listening to somebody saying a thing about a thing about a thing, and then somebody else saying a thing.
It's why we kind of rolled our eyes at the start of the call, because the phrasing you were using, like the book, it's inerrant. The book is inerrant. It's all true. Like that's a cliche. That's a trope.
Yeah,
like we've heard that literally hundreds of times
daily.
From apologists. And maybe look into a bit of anti-apologetics and see the kind of arguments that Muslim apologists say, because they just go from the same playbook and they've only got a few actual talking points. And if you learn them, then you'll be ready to gently counter certain talking points. But yeah, I mean, do you got anything else that you think might be useful in this situation, Jason?
No, I think what Jamie was just saying is crucial. You kind of need to understand the language that's being used and understand that, like, maybe the words you're hearing aren't, and it seems like you're catching on already. Yeah. Like the words they're using aren't really the words that they're using, right? It's like here in the States, we have a lot of hyper conservative, right-leaning fundamentalism. You know, a woman's a woman. What makes a woman? You know, it's like, no, you're really not asking that question, right? You know, well, you're really not saying that. I know this is a buzzword that's loaded and a buzz phrase and a dog whistle. So I think it's important to maybe like what Jamie was saying, kind of get yourself acquainted. But I really, again, the last thing I'll leave you with, you need to figure out who's talking to your kid.
Yep.
You need to figure out who's influencing your kid, and you need to intervene. I mean, I just, if I was here with you, I'd go with you. You know what I mean? I just don't trust that. There's got to be a parent or an adult or somebody who's saying a thing. And especially to a 15-year-old. I mean, I got groomed real bad by a youth pastor at 14, 15. And the really bad stuff went on. And if somebody had just stepped in my life and said, who the hell is this guy? Get the fuck away from this kid. You know, it would have been life-changing for me, you know, and years of therapy, you know, I didn't have to do. So, you know, I would definitely look into that, especially for a 15-year-old kid. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and it's understandable that you're away from him. It's going to be tough. We give it your best shot. And I think that's pretty much what we can say about it, sir. So,
yeah.
Good luck, man.
You got anything else, bud? Much. Oh, yeah, for sure, man.
Thank you for your call, dude. Take care. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Be safe, bud. Let us know how it goes.
Thank you. Will do. Thanks.